Could you speak up?
Do you make it the floor to you as soon as we open it?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm here to be
She's
of
here.
assistance.
She's here as a reference.
Okay. Ready? Okay. It is 6:30 and we're calling the meeting of the Government Operations Committee to order. We have Councilor Bounds, we have Councilor Bolduc, and myself, Councilor Doyle. And we are here to discuss the possible changes to the noise ordinance of the City of Laconia so that we can have a more even, for lack of a better term, playing field between residents, the property owners, the nightclubs, restaurants, various things like that. Is there any input that we need? Any questions? Where do we want to start with this? You want to?
Sure. Well, we have two different ordinances that you have in front of you that are Laconia specific. The first one is Chapter 167 is noise. If everybody doesn't have it, I've got extra copies here if people need them. But so 167 for Laconia is noise, and it talks about noise restricted certain hours a day, and then for sound equipment dealing with outdoor music and everything from radio receiving sets to loudspeakers and everything in between with today's technology. And it talks about violations. So basically, and again, the reason that noise is challenging is that it can be a little bit subjective. So I mean, the very first section of 167.1, the making and creation of loud, unnecessary, unreasonable, or unusual noises isn't as black and white as could be, and therefore how one person interprets it in a business or a residence may be different than how somebody abutting them interprets it. So that's kind of the ambiguity, if you will, of Chapter 167 and why it's challenging for our police department in particular to go out and enforce those as being unreasonable, unusual, unnecessary. The second chapter you have before you is Chapter 161-3, and this is dealing with, 161-4, dealing with outdoor sound equipment and loudspeakers. So this is for it could either be a residence or it could be a business that is doing something outside, meaning the noise is not contained within the confines of their walls. And this one deals specifically with loudspeakers and the times of day that the city permits these to be operated. So Sunday through Thursday, it cannot be operated past 9 o'clock under current ordinance. On Friday and Saturday, they're allowed to be 10 o'clock. So this could be somebody setting up outside on a lawn if they were a resort or a restaurant that had lawn space. Potentially it could be a deck or something along those lines. Those are the hours that we currently allow them, with the exception there that you see of Motorcycle Week, where they are allowed to go until 12:30 in the morning, just during Motorcycle Week. So that discussion came up recently with the event that was held down at the Margate on Memorial Day weekend. So in some people's eyes, that Sunday of the long weekend, could it have more been viewed as a Friday or a Saturday night where it wasn't the typical Monday morning workday for a lot of people. So that was what kind of caused us to have this discussion and refer it back to this committee for doing it. So that's kind of where we have, just for a comparison of another resort type of community, and it's not apples to apples. I did provide you with Hamptons. The Chapter 149 really covers their entertainment activities, but it does focus in with noise and some decibel levels that they have adopted regarding nuisance and noise standards. And then their second chapter is Chapter 328, which is their noise ordinance and talks about their definitions of loud and unreasonable. So I was just trying to grab a different community of similar size and a similar summer beach resort to give you a few additional things to read.
Okay. Any questions? David?
Yeah, I'm sort of know how we got here because of what happened with the Margate and what we're trying to do. Does anybody have any clue about what the decibel standards that the town of Hampton adopted? I mean, they mean nothing to me. How loud is 50 decibels? How is 75 decibels? And does it make sense that we even think about doing something like that here in Laconia? Because my thought is that if you're going to have an event and you want to do it later and there's reasons for it, then you're going to have to get a license for it. And that's going to be a condition of the license, unless they have to come to the city council. We want to consider leaving it to the licensing board in terms of the length and duration of the event?
I don't think so.
Do we want to change the hours?
We've never had problems before. This is the first time that this has come up with the Margate. And with the Margate, it's louder across the lake than it is at the Margate. It really is. It carries louder across that lake over there to the other side.
I don't disagree with that. I don't have any personal knowledge of it, but I don't disagree with it.
Because I live over there now and have for 12 years, 14 years now, and whenever they have those, especially on the weekends when they have fireworks, you'd swear it was right in your backyard. I mean, it's that loud.
Well, it's the first time it's come to council attention, but the problem with the competing noise level has been there for quite a while. We've discussed this amongst our, like Shannon and I have talked about it for quite a while. It's an issue, like Scott said, how loud is too loud? Because in one area it may not be considered loud, but somewhere else it might be. Inside versus outside hours, you know, and we all have to live and play together.
Can you give us an update on where we were when we last tried to address this ordinance and why we fell apart?
Yeah, so several years ago, this issue came up.
Being televised, or just identify yourself.
Yeah, sorry, Shanna Saunders from the Planning Department. Several years ago, this issue did come up. We had a meeting with city departments regarding Chapter 167 and 161 and how they didn't quite meld and if we wanted to do updates. And I think we as a city staff realized that they needed to be updated. When we then opened it up to the public to get public input.
What's that look like? Oh, that's the thing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.